Listen before you point fingers, before you blame the world, before you say, woman changed. I need you to step back and ask yourself something real. Am I giving the world a version of me that deserves the things I want? Because a lot of men out here confused. They think women want money, cars, validation, attention, status. But let me tell you something that might shock you. Most women don't want the world from you. They just want a man who's not lost in it. Women can feel when your spirit is unstable. They can feel when you're pretending. They can feel when you've got no purpose, no direction, no center. Energy don't lie, homie. And that's what shocks men. Women can read who you are before you even speak. Women want emotional stability, not emotional chaos. And that's something a lot of men don't realize until life humbles them. See, when a woman comes into your world, she's not looking for a circus. She's not looking for a man whose emotions are bouncing from wall to wall like a loose bullet. She wants someone whose energy feels grounded, not unpredictable. Someone whose presence brings peace, not confusion. Peace isn't soft, it's strength under control. Stability isn't boring, it's discipline expressed through character. And when a man has that, a woman can feel it before he even speaks. Women today are surrounded by noise from the world all day, pressure, expectations, comparisons, doubts. And the last thing they want is to come home to more chaos in human form. If your energy feels like a storm, she's not stepping into it, she's stepping away. Because the truth is, emotional chaos drains a woman faster than anything else. It forces her into survival mode. It makes her feel like she's carrying everything alone. And no real woman wants to feel like she's raising a grown man who can't manage his own mind. The irony is, most men think emotional stability means shutting down, saying nothing, acting heartless. But that's not stability, that's avoidance. Real stability is control, not silence. It's understanding your feelings without letting them run your life. It's responding with clarity, not reacting from insecurity. Women, pay attention to how you handle pressure, how you respond to disrespect, how you move when things don't go your way. If every minor issue triggers you, if every disagreement becomes a war, if every challenge makes you spiral, she sees that as instability. And no woman wants to attach her future to a man who breaks under stress. A stable man knows who he is. He doesn't beg for validation. He generates confidence from within. He doesn't let temporary emotions destroy long-term situations. He doesn't use anger to mask weakness. He doesn't need arguments to feel powerful. Instead, his power shows through how he carries himself. Calm, steady, focused. A woman feels safe around that, not just physically, emotionally. She knows she can trust your decisions, your direction, your leadership, your intentions. She knows she won't have to decode mixed signals or walk on eggshells. That safety allows her to open up, support you, trust you, and build something real with you. Women don't want perfection. They want consistency. They want to know you're the same man on Monday that you were on Friday. They want to know your mood doesn't change with every inconvenience. They want to know you won't shut down when life gets heavy. Emotional chaos makes her feel like she has to control everything. Emotional stability lets her relax into her feminine side. When you're solid, she doesn't have to be. When you're stable, she can be soft. That's why stability is attractive. It frees her. The truth is, emotional chaos often comes from men who have no direction. When you don't know where your life is going, everything becomes a trigger. When you have no mission, every little thing feels like an attack. But when you're focused, when you have a purpose that wakes you up in the morning, when you're building something with your mind, your hustle, your discipline, your emotions serve your vision, not the other way around. That's what women admire. A man with structure. A man who isn't controlled by impulses. A man who thinks before he reacts. Let me put it plainly. Stability is attractive because it shows maturity. It shows growth. It shows a man has done inner work, and inner work is rare. Anybody can look strong. Only a few can stay strong when life gets messy. And that's what women really look at. Not your image, not your words, not your promises, your emotional pattern, your emotional tone. That's the real you. A woman wants a man who can sit through uncomfortable conversations without exploding. A man who can listen without turning defensive. A man who can express his feelings without weaponizing them. A man who can handle no without falling apart. A man whose peace is real, not performed. That kind of man is rare, and that's why he's valued. So understand this: emotional stability doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you a stronger one, a disciplined one, a trusted one. The kind of man a woman wants to build with, not just spend time with. And if you want that kind of woman, solid, loyal, supportive, you have to become the kind of man who brings stability, not chaos, into her life. Because the truth is simply, she's not asking for too much. She's just asking for a man who has mastered himself. Women want purpose, driving men, because purpose is the one thing that separates a man who's just existing from a man who's actually becoming something. And women can feel that difference instantly. A man without purpose moves like a leaf in the wind. Every distraction knocks him off course. Every setback breaks him. Every opinion shapes him. But a man with purpose moves like he's following an internal compass. He's not perfect. He's not flawless, but he's committed. And that commitment is what makes him stand out in a world full of drifting energy. See, women aren't looking for a superhero. They're not asking for a millionaire, a genius, or a man who has life all figured out. They're looking for direction, for intention, for a sense that the man they choose isn't wasting his time, his mind, his potential. Purpose makes you magnetic because it gives your life momentum. When a woman meets a man with that momentum, she can feel it in his presence, his discipline, his timing, his focus, his decisions. Everything about him shows he's building, he's growing, he's locked in on something bigger than himself. A woman doesn't want to sign up for a relationship where she becomes your mission because you don't have one of your own. That's pressure to her. That's weight. And when a man has no purpose, he clings to her for validation, reassurance, direction, for the identity he never built on his own. And that drains a woman fast. She wants a partner, not a project. She wants to add to your life, not become the reason you get out of bed in the morning. Purpose creates structure. It gives your emotions a place to land. It gives your actions a reason to exist. It shapes your character. And a woman pays attention to those things more than anything. She watches how you spend your time. She watches what you prioritize. She watches whether your dreams stay in your mouth or show up in your work. A man with purpose doesn't need to talk big because his lifestyle already speaks for him. The truth is, purpose-driven men become leaders without ever forcing leadership. Their energy naturally commands respect because people can see they're moving in a direction that requires discipline. Women want that energy because it makes them feel secure, not just financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. A man with purpose doesn't break down every time life gets hard. He doesn't quit when things don't go his way. He doesn't run from challenges. He adjusts, he adapts, he grows. That's the kind of man a woman feels safe following. When you have purpose, your life isn't random. You don't entertain every temptation. You don't waste time on meaningless drama. You don't chase validation from everybody. You don't fold to pressure. Purpose gives you standards. It filters out fake friends, fake opportunities, fake relationships. And a woman respects that because it shows you respect yourself. And let's be real, purpose makes you attractive because it gives you identity. Not the kind of identity that comes from clothes or followers or how loud you talk. Real identity. The identity built through discipline, sacrifice, vision, and consistency. Women admire the grind because it reveals the man behind it. They see the discipline, the hunger, the nights you invest in yourself, the time you put into your craft, the resilience behind your setbacks. Purpose. Driven men glow differently because they don't rely on luck. They rely on work. A man with purpose isn't scared to dream big, and he's not scared to start small. He's not intimidated by slow progress. He's not ashamed of being a beginner. He doesn't compare himself to other men because he's too focused on his own mission. That confidence is quiet but powerful. And that's what women gravitate toward: quiet confidence backed by real effort. Purpose also brings clarity. It helps you choose the right woman instead of falling for anyone who gives you attention. When you know where you're going, you naturally look for someone who matches that direction. Women want purpose-driven men because they know those are the men who build foundations, not fantasies. They create futures, not chaos. They protect, they provide, they lead, not because they have to, but because purpose trains them to. So understand this: becoming purpose-driven isn't about impressing women. It's about elevating yourself. But once you elevate yourself, the right women will notice, not because you chased them, but because your purpose has a gravity of its own. Women want a man on his path because a man on his path can take someone with him. And once you become that man, everything in your life aligns differently. Women want consistency because consistency is the real proof of who a man is. Anybody can act right for a week. Anybody can talk smooth for a month. Anybody can show potential when life is easy. But the real question, the one a woman pays attention to, is simple. Can he stay solid when life gets loud? That's what consistency is. It's not about perfection. It's about reliability, stability, showing up the same way you said you would long after the feeling that motivated you is gone. Most men don't lose women because they're bad people. They lose them because they're inconsistent. One day they're attentive, the next day they're distant. One moment they're supportive, the next moment they disappear. They start strong and finish weak. And women feel that shift instantly. They can sense when your energy drops, when your focus changes, when your intentions fade. Inconsistency makes a woman feel unsafe, not physically, but emotionally. It tells her she can't trust your direction, your promises, or your presence. Consistency is attractive because it reflects discipline. It reflects emotional maturity. It shows a woman that you don't switch up depending on your mood. When a man is consistent, his actions match his words. His energy matches his intentions. His lifestyle matches his goals. That alignment makes a woman feel like she's dealing with someone who knows who he is, someone who's not pretending, someone whose character doesn't melt under pressure or shift for convenience. A consistent man is predictable in the best way, not boring, reliable, not routine, solid. A woman doesn't have to wonder which version of you she's getting today. She doesn't have to decode mixed signals or chase clarity. She can relax because she trusts the pattern of your actions. That trust is what allows her to open up, support you, invest in you, and build something real with you. Without consistency, there's no foundation. Without foundation, there's no relationship, just moments. The truth is, consistency is a reflection of what's inside you. A man who's inconsistent with a woman is usually inconsistent with himself first. His habits are unstable. His discipline is shaky. His priorities are scattered. His emotional life is unorganized. He can't commit to his own goals, so how can he commit to her? Women watch that. They watch how you handle your time, your work, your responsibilities. They know that if you're not consistent in your own life, you won't magically become consistent with them. A man who can't keep promises to himself won't keep them to anyone else. Consistency isn't about doing grand gestures. It's about doing the small things every day. The check-ins, the effort, the presence, the respect, the honesty, the follow-through. Women don't remember, the big moments you planned once. They remember how you treated them during the moments you didn't plan. That's where consistency speaks the loudest, not in your highlights, but in your habits. A lot of men think women want excitement, unpredictability, drama, but that's not true. Women want adventure in life, not instability in a man. They want memories, not emotional roller coasters. They want passion, not chaos. When a man is consistent, passion actually grows because trust grows. And trust is the soil where real connection happens. A consistent man doesn't need to explain himself constantly. His behavior speaks for him. He shows love through action. He communicates through clarity. He leads with integrity. He doesn't show effort only when things are good. He shows effort even when life is stressful, especially then, because consistency during hard times is what separates a man from a boy. Women want consistency because inconsistency feels like emotional debt. She's always waiting for you to make up for something. But a consistent man doesn't put her in that position. He gives peace without her having to ask for it. He brings effort without her reminding him. He shows love in a way that doesn't need restarting every few days. And understand this, consistency is not about being perfect every day. It's about choosing the same direction every day, even when you're tired, even when you're stressed, even when life tests you. That's what makes a man dependable. That's what makes him valuable. That's what makes a woman feel like she can build with him, not just date him. At the end of the day, consistency is the real flex. It's the rarest quality in modern relationships and the most respected. A woman doesn't want a man who shines sometimes. She wants a man who stays shining through discipline, intention, and heart. And once you understand that, you stop trying to impress women and you start striving to become the kind of man they naturally trust. Women want respect paired with boundaries because without boundaries, respect has no structure. And without respect, boundaries have no meaning. You can treat a woman kindly, speak softly, take her out, compliment her, give her attention. But if you don't have limits on how you allow yourself to be treated, she can't truly value you. Respect isn't something you ask for. It's something you teach people through the standards you live by. And women pay close attention to a man's standards, not the ones he talks about, the ones he actually enforces. A lot of men think being respectful means letting everything slide. They stay quiet to avoid conflict. They forgive behavior they don't deserve. They accept disrespect because they're afraid to lose the woman. But what they don't realize is that when you let someone cross your boundaries, you're not showing kindness. You're showing a lack of self-worth. A woman can feel that instantly. A man who respects himself moves differently. He doesn't raise his voice to prove a point, but he also doesn't allow someone to walk over him. His respect comes with a backbone. See, women don't want a man who's aggressive or controlling. They want a man who can stand firm without losing his cool. A man who can say, "This doesn't work for me," without turning it into a war. A man who knows his limits, his values, his lines, and holds them no matter how pretty the face or how strong the attraction. When a man has boundaries, it shows he's done the inner work. It shows he has principles guiding him, not emotions, not impulses, not insecurities. Respect paired with boundaries is powerful because it creates clarity. A woman knows exactly where she stands with a man who carries himself like that. She knows what he tolerates and what he won't. She knows he means what he says. She knows she can trust his character because it's consistent. Boundaries aren't walls, they're directions. They tell people how to treat you. When you don't communicate them, you leave room for misunderstandings, resentment, and disrespect. A woman admires a man who respects her, yes, but she admires even more the man who respects himself. That self-respect is what makes her feel safe. Not safe in a physical sense, safe emotionally. Safe to open up, safe to trust, safe to be her true self. Because when a man respects himself, she knows he won't lose himself in the relationship. He won't become clingy, needy, reactive, or jealous. He won't try to control her or depend on her for his sense of identity. He stands solid on his own. And here's the truth. Boundaries actually make love easier. When you and a woman both know what's acceptable and what isn't, the relationship feels cleaner. There's less guessing, less testing, less confusion. You don't have to repeat yourself 100 times. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to teach the same lesson twice. People who want to be in your life will naturally adjust to your boundaries. People who don't will remove themselves. And that's a blessing, not a loss. Men sometimes think setting boundaries will push a woman away, but the opposite is true. Boundaries make a woman take you seriously. They separate you from the man she can manipulate, the man she can control, the men who bend for validation. A boundary says, I value myself enough not to lose myself in anyone. That's attractive because it shows strength. Women don't want to lead a man. They want to follow a man who leads himself. Respect is the tone. Boundaries are the structure. A man who moves with both becomes rare, and women recognize rare instantly. When you approach a woman with respect, she feels honored. When you carry boundaries with confidence, she feels the weight of your worth. Together, those two qualities create a balance, a calm, a stability, a security that most relationships today are missing. Understand something important. Women don't want a man who is nice. They want a man who is kind and clear, a man who can speak gently but stand firmly, a man who is soft when needed and strong when required, a man who can compromise on preferences but never on principles. That blend is what creates healthy love. That blend is what earns her respect in return. When you respect her, she feels valued. When you respect yourself, she feels guided. When you set boundaries, she feels safe. When you enforce them, she feels your strength. And when you do all of that consistently, she sees the type of man she can build a future with. Respect without boundaries is weakness. Boundaries without respect is control. But respect paired with boundaries, that's maturity. That's masculine balance. And that's exactly what women want, even if they never say it out loud. Women want a man becoming the highest version of himself because that kind of man carries a different kind of energy, an energy built from growth, discipline, and self-awareness. A man who's actively evolving doesn't just move forward, he elevates everyone around him. And women can feel that. They can sense when a man is not stagnant, not lazy, not repeating the same year of his life over and over. They can sense when he's striving for something deeper, something higher, something beyond his present circumstances. That hunger, that drive, that willingness to become more, it's magnetic. See, a man becoming the best version of himself isn't trying to impress anyone. He's not performing. He's not pretending. He's not chasing validation. He's chasing progress. A woman sees that and respects it because it shows he has a relationship with himself first. He's investing in his mind, in his body, in his money, in his peace, in his future. He's not waiting for life to hand him anything. He's creating, learning, evolving, and building. That kind of man becomes hard to replace because he's rare. Women want a man who is growing because growth provides direction. A man who's becoming better tomorrow than he was yesterday is a man who won't drag her into the same problems year after year. He won't blame the world for his situation. He won't fall apart when life tests him. He's too focused on elevation to get stuck in the same cycles. His mindset pushes him forward, and that forward movement creates a sense of safety. Not safety in the physical sense, safety in knowing he won't settle for mediocrity. A woman wants to align with a man whose vision stretches beyond the moment. A man becoming his highest self has discipline. Discipline is attractive because it shows control. It shows he's not ruled by impulses or emotions or distractions. It shows he knows how to sacrifice. It shows he understands the long game. A man who's leveling up isn't out here wasting nights, wasting money, wasting opportunities. He's calculated, focused, intentional. Women respect that because a man who can lead himself can eventually lead a family, a business, a legacy. A man who can't control himself can't control his life. And here's the thing, becoming your highest self doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're self-aware enough to recognize your flaws and mature enough to work on them. Women watch that. They watch how you handle your weaknesses. They watch if you choose excuses or solutions. They watch if you run from accountability or embrace it. Growth is loud without making noise. A woman notices when you start communicating better, thinking clearer, choosing smarter, acting wiser. She respects the effort because elevation takes courage. Women want men who upgrade themselves because that energy inspires them too. When you're leveling up, it naturally motivates her to level up. She feels proud to stand beside you because she knows she's connected to someone who refuses to settle. And not just for himself, he refuses to settle for the people he loves. He pushes her to be better without forcing anything. His lifestyle leads by example. A man becoming his highest version doesn't chase women. He chases purpose. He chases progress. He chases mastery. And women gravitate to that because they know he won't lose himself in the relationship. He won't depend on her to feel whole. He won't make her responsible for his happiness. He's building his life with intention, and that intention gives him independence. Women don't want a man who needs them to function. They want a man who chooses them because he's already whole. This kind of man is attractive because he's consistent. He doesn't grow for a month, then quit. He doesn't talk about change, he lives it. He doesn't fake improvement for attention. He grinds in silence. Women respect that kind of commitment because it shows character. It shows he can finish what he starts. It shows he can stay focused even when nobody is watching. A man becoming his highest version has standards. He doesn't entertain drama. He doesn't chase meaningless connections. He doesn't tolerate disrespect. His growth creates new boundaries, and that makes him even more respected. Women want a man who has evolved past childish habits, past ego-driven decisions, past reckless impulses. A man who thinks long-term, who values peace over pride, clarity over chaos, growth over comfort. At the end of the day, a woman doesn't need a perfect man. She needs a progressing one. She needs a man who wakes up with intention, moves with purpose, and grows with commitment. She needs a man who's not scared to reinvent himself when life demands it. She needs a man who understands that becoming is a lifelong journey. A man walking that path carries a vibration she can trust. His direction gives her confidence. His growth gives her hope. His elevation gives her peace. Women aren't shocked by this. They've always wanted it. The only ones shocked are the men who refuse to evolve. At the end of the day, women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for real discipline, real intention, real effort, real masculinity grounded in self-respect. You want better women, become a better man. The world mirrors what you broadcast. So stop asking, what do women want? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because when your character is strong, your purpose is clear, your energy is steady, you won't chase respect, you'll attract it. And that's the truth most men never learn. The marathon continues.